What could be improved? I think that my character's feelings could have been shown through facial expressions, gestures, and maybe even sound. So I could have cried when we stung each other, or I could have said the buzzing sounds louder. Right. Vocal skills, loudness 7. I feel like I could have been a little bit louder, but not too over the top. As in, I do talk quite loudly as it is, even when I'm not on stage. Inflection. I think I could have expressed my feelings more through my facial expressions and my gestures, so I gave myself a 4 on that. Emotion tone. I gave myself a 5 because I could have shown more emotions through my tone of voice. Pace, I gave myself a 9 because I was quite pasty with it. I kept up the pace when we needed to repeat everything that King Neptune said. Rhythm, I gave myself a 7 even though we didn't have much rhythm in vocally, but I feel like I did when it came to repeating everything that King Neptune said, because as soon as he said it, I said it in like a wibbly voice. Pausing, yeah, I gave myself an 8 because I paused when I was thinking about something, or if I didn't quite understand what King Neptune had said, like when he was talking about the Queen of Sultanas, I was like pausing, like, Queen of Sultanas? Colin, what's a sultana? And things like that. Accents / dialect. I gave myself a 4 for that because I feel like I could have had an accent that would have made it quite funny. My dialect could have been better as well. Diction. I used lots of words and phrases that helped me when I was talking so that the younger audience knew what we were talking about. Pitch 9. I had good pitch in my voice so that everybody, including people right at the back, could hear me, but I didn't want the pitch to be like too high pitched so that people couldn't hear me, but I didn't want it to be too low pitched so that I was like the other jellyfish. Fluidity, I gave myself a 6/7. I could have been more fluent when I was repeating everything that King Neptune said, because it took me a few seconds to realise, oh, actually, I have to repeat that one. Comedy / timing. I thought my timing was good in a fashion, so I gave myself a 6 on that. Vocal idiosyncrasy. I feel like I could have used different pitches and tones for different things that was happening around me. So when he said that King Neptune said he was king of the sea, I could have gone king of the sea instead of keeping it on one kind of pitch / tone. The action plan for these are to work on vocal idiosyncrasy, inflection, emotion tone, and accent / dialect, and fluidity by next lesson. Also, when I'm at home, to try out different things to see if they worked or didn't work, and also to try out different movements and different ways of travelling across the space. Movement. Posture, I gave myself a 6. It was good, but I could have walked either with a straight back, so I was stood upright but still wibbling around the stage, or I could have crouched and made myself lower than the other jellyfish to show that I was younger. Facial expressions, I gave myself a 2 for that because I thought that I needed to have one facial expression, which was kind of like I was always surprised about what was happening around me, so it was like an ooh kind of look on my face all the time. But yeah, I used about 3 or 4 different facial expressions instead of one, so that's why I gave myself a 2 on that. Gestures, I gave myself a 3 because I could have used a lot more gestures, as I didn't use any in my jellyfish scene, because I feel like I didn't need them, but when I looked back I kind of realised that it was quite boring without any gestures. Use of tension, I gave myself a 4 for that because I could have used a lot more tension throughout the scene instead of a certain part. There were quite a few bits and pieces that King Neptune said that could have been used for tension, like great danger. There's a part where he says your friends are in great danger. I could have used that as a great opportunity to make it like an 8, like, oh my god, it is a bomb, like, but is it really, kind of thing. Or maybe even a 9 for the level of tension when I was repeating it, and I was repeating it to Dick Whittington, who was in the scene with us. Confidence / openness, I could have been a lot more confident with what I was doing and what I was saying, so I gave myself a 3 for that. Use of space, 9. I used the space well when I moved, when I needed to move. I feel that it could have been better, but I feel like what I was doing was perfectly fine. Eye contact. I gave eye contact with Dick Whittington and the audience sometimes when I needed to, so I gave myself a 7 for that. Energy. I could have had a lot more energy throughout that scene. It looked quite boring because we were just like King of the Sea, and we hadn't got the energy like all the way up there. So I gave myself a 6 for that. Spatial awareness, 7. I was always aware of what was or who was around me at all times, so that obviously I didn't cause a collision with the set or any other person. Audience interaction, I gave myself a 4 because I could have gone into the audience or close to them just to get them a little worried that we were jellyfish and we might sting them, just to make it a bit more fun. Timing, I could have used my timing on stage more effectively. Like, I could have made my wobbling a lot better, or I could have moved around the little space when I was stood still a little bit more. So I gave myself a 5 for that. And memory, I gave myself an 8 because I always remembered what I needed to do and say. Yeah. The action plan for these are to work on my timing, my audience interaction, use of tension, gestures and facial expressions throughout the next few weeks to see what works and what doesn't. Any advice you would like to give on organisation, line learning and remembering movement? I feel that everybody could work on learning the lines, as we are still working on script at the moment. Organisation was fine. We'd organised what we were doing when we were on stage and what we were doing when we were off stage. So costume, set, props, that means making the set, buying props or making